Hello, beautiful humans. Welcome back to another episode of Naked Sunday. I am your host, Caleb Nelson, and I got my new friend, Mr. Dan Purcell, on the podcast with me today. Dan, welcome to the
Thank
show.
you. Happy to be here.
We're just sharing mutually positive vibes, and we're recording this right a couple weeks into the new year. I'm just loving the energy right now. I'm feeling like there's, like we were saying, that there's this kind of collective joy or optimism, at least in the circles we apparently run in, which I'm going to try to keep running in those circles because God, there's nothing worse than being around the negativity. It just sucks the life out of you. I'm like, I got no time for
Right.
that. But I like to start all my episodes with why I appreciate my guest, because call me crazy, if we're ever going to achieve something nearly resembling what we might call world peace, we probably should start with telling each other why we love each other.
All right.
I don't know,
Uh-huh.
bold concept, but well, we had a chat, maybe 3, 4 weeks
Mhm.
ago, maybe a little shorter than that. I can't remember exactly, but something I really admire about you is that you took a chance on really pivoting in your life. I don't think enough people really embrace and have that type of courage to really pursue the things they love. And not only that, like if I remember correctly, you and your wife are both in on it together, like as a family, to move in a bold direction and to essentially pursue your dreams and follow the things that you love and you believe in. I think it takes a lot of courage, and aside from just telling each other why we love each other, which that also might require a lot of courage as well. And I would dare say the more I've experienced, it takes a lot of people to have a lot of courage to say why they love each other more than even why they hate each other, which is silly. But I just want to let you know, like, that really stuck out to me, and I really admire it. And I'm excited to just chat with you today. So thanks for being you.
Thank you. And I appreciate you too. I appreciate you taking a chance on me, inviting me on as a guest. I think our listeners are going to really like the discussion we're about to have. But also your courage too for your pivots and I guess listening to the call to help others do what you do. I think we need more good coaches, good influences, and mentors in our life. And I'm glad you can be that for the people you work with.
He's trying to get me to cry early this morning right now. I'm feeling it. I love to cry. I'm not going to lie about it. So I'm feeling the feelings already. So I
That's good.
appreciate that.
I was crying this morning. I got to tell you, a little funny. I'm listening to a biography, and I'm just falling in love with this man that I'm learning about. And it's the chapter where his wife dies, like about her cancer and everything. So, like, I started crying. Just saying goodbye to some friends. It's yeah, it's been tough.
What's the
It's,
name of the book?
I forgot the name, but it's about a man named Dallin Oaks.
Wow. It's kind of sad, so that sometimes it takes being reminded of the real tragedies in life, of losing the ones we love. That sometimes it's what it takes for us to remember to appreciate those things. And yeah, it makes you grateful that you have the ability to feel, to be reminded of that, and hopefully it means you're going to go turn to your loved ones and hold them a little closer
Yes,
and feel a little more value and appreciation of them, and do the things that they say to do, whether it's a marriage or parenthood or friendship. God forbid we be good to each other, more loving to each other more often. Again, this whole world peace thing might actually work out if we if we take the simple advice and do it over and over again.
right.
So yeah, no, I love that. Um, let's get into it. Before we get into it, you know yourself better than I. How about you share with our audience, Dan? Who are you?
I'm a husband. I'm a father. I have 6 children. My oldest is 20. My youngest is 8. And I have a mix. It goes boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. And professionally, I help married couples improve sex in their marriage. And I can't think of a happier career because it's fun, it's interesting. I work in a industry, or sorry, not maybe industry, but with a topic that's often taboo for a lot of people, for a lot of couples, and just helping them overcome their own intimate struggles and finding more joy, more replenishment in their marriages is really what gets me out of bed every day. That's my it puts a pep in my step as I see people like light up and glow in their own marriages as they become more intimate and more courageous in their own relationships.
I especially, just as you saying that, and you have a rather large family, but think about that trickle down effect, the deeper intimacy and love and connection in a couple for their children to witness, like the trickle down effect of joy and love and happiness. I think that's something people get wrong all the time. They think it's the other way around. It's like, yeah, there is a lot of love and joy, but wow, what a beautiful gift you can give to your children of modeling this love and intimacy. It's such a, I can see why it lights you up. I mean, it's just like, it's radiating across your face right now just thinking about it. I'm like, all right, this is awesome.
Hmm.
That's what a profound gift you're giving to people.
Thank you.
How did you get into this? Like share how take us on the story all the
Yeah.
way to here.
Well, I would consider myself the least likely person to be doing this. I never, ever, ever saw myself doing anything remotely close to coaching or teaching or being a podcaster or let alone talking about sex of all the topics because anyone that knows me well is like, what? How'd that happen? So I come from a very conservative background, a great family, my wife too. Um, we were married, and I would say we've had a really good marriage. We communicate well, we really like each other, we're good at solving problems together and working things out. We're good at sharing the mental load, the workload of the household. Um, we go on dates regularly. Like we really genuinely enjoy being with each other. But when it came to sex, it was the thing that we didn't know that we didn't know. Also, we had inherited a lot of anxiety from the families we came from because unwittingly, unknowingly, uh, sex was the thing that you just don't talk about. We don't talk about it. So even in our own marriage, we never really had conversations about our sex life and what we feel about it, or even exploring more. And it's just, well, we know how to make kids. We were pretty good at that. And we're busy. We do our things and we like each other. So what more could there be? And little did we know there was so much more that we were missing out on. We were living beneath our privileges, I guess we could say, and we didn't even know it. One day, it was about 9 years ago, I had a conversation with a friend. And my friend opened up to me about his sex life with his wife. And this was a kind of conversation I typically don't have with people. And this also wasn't bro locker room talk type of a conversation either. He was really sincere and he was telling me, he's trying to get my attention and say, Dan, once my wife and I figured out sex in our marriage, everything else in our life got better. We communicate better, we raise our kids together better, like my health has improved, my wife's health has improved, like my income has increased, like really it was understanding how sex worked in our marriage really made the change for us. And he's a few years older than I am, been married a little bit longer than I have. And he also went on to tell me some of the adventurous things he and his wife were doing. And I was blushing the whole time. I was uncomfortable the whole time. And it was like that, ew, gross. Wait, tell me more. No, wait, don't tell me more. But I really want to know. But I really shouldn't ask. Like that kind of a conflict, right? And like, I didn't know good people do things like that. That sounds incredible. That sounds fun. But really, you're allowed to do that? That's okay. I didn't think that was okay. Like all these kinds of ideas and things. And um, but I walked away from that conversation. He had something that I didn't have. He and his wife had this like magic about them that I could now understand. Like, I want that. I don't have that in my own marriage. So I went home that night to my wife, Emily, and was like, Emily, you'd never guess what kind of conversation I had with so and so today. And I was right. She would never guess. That's it. And after the kids were in bed, like 9 o'clock, we're sitting up in bed, and I basically wanted to know, like, what is your experience of me and sex? Do you like sex with me? Or maybe you're unfulfilled and you've never told me because you didn't want to hurt my feelings. Or maybe there are things you wanted to do differently, but you've never told me because you're shy about it. Like, what do you think about this? And my friend told me about X and Y and Z, and do you think that's okay or not okay? Like, I really don't know about this. Like, he seems like a really good guy and his wife are really enjoying it. But I was always told those things are bad, but are they really okay? Like, what do you think? And that conversation just was like onion layers, just uh, um, unraveled more and more and more questions. We were up 5 hours that night. We went to bed at 2 a.m. Like there was so much, and that was probably the most vulnerable, open conversation we've had about our sex life to that point in our marriage. And then the next night we had a more conversation. This is like the lingering, this became the dominant conversation between us for a few weeks as we're like, we really need to think about this and talk about this. There's a lot of things we probably need to address. And, I'm just married to such a good woman. I'm so grateful for her. She's like, you know what? We should explore this together. We should really figure this out together between us. And, um, and we did. And, fast forward about 2 months, we're communicating better. Like we're raising our kids together better, sleeping together, income improves, health improves. Like we're happier. Like we're like glowing like newlyweds again. And like the grass is greener, the sky is bluer. Like everything in life is like way, way better. And then if we could talk about sex, we can talk about anything. So all of a sudden, like all these walls we didn't know were there come crumbling down, and we become more of a couple, like a marriage in the truest sense, where we really feel like we've got each other's back. Uh, we really can merge our lives and our souls together to build something great. And I was more optimistic about the future than ever together. And there's a, it's just this great feeling of partnership also that was like a side effect from this. And we were also having a lot of fun in the bedroom too. So it was all kind of mixed together. It was a great time. And that's what started this all. Like, how come no one ever taught us this? Like, we know like biological reproduction, check. Like the thou shalt not conversation. Yeah, got it. Understand that. But how do you actually build a sexual relationship that infuses your relationship, that infuses yourself with this joy, with this life-giving, expanding energy? That part was completely absent from my education, my conversations, my understanding. And I really wanted to somehow share that with other people.
That's incredible. As somebody who came from a hyper religious,
Yeah.
hyper
Uh-huh.
purity kind of
Uh-huh.
background,
Which served me well.
certainly
I'm grateful for that background. But
it does definitely give you a moral compass
yeah.
for
Hmm.
sure. That like what you're speaking to is like, well, once you're in that relationship that that is now sacred,
Uh-huh.
how can you play within this container? Because like, is sex not the adult version of play? I mean,
Absolutely.
there's plenty of
Yes.
play, but, like, what was like really the hardest part for you becoming more vulnerable with that for yourself?
There's not one thing. There's many things that were hard.
Mm,
Probably the first is this okay and is this not okay?
mm,
So that event happened like 9 years ago. Since then, I've done a lot of study and a lot of I've gone all in. Now this is what I get to do full time. So I've developed some expertise in this area, especially when it comes to helping couples, conservative, like Christian couples, is primarily who I get to serve and help them. Um, I believe in a lot of psychologists take a developmental approach to it's called, we're getting in the weeds a little bit, but it's a constructivist theory as far as human development goes. For example, um, when you give certain types of questions to a 4-year-old, they answer with the level of understanding that they have. And you ask the same type of a question to a 6-year-old who has between 4 and 6 for most healthy children, they have a huge leap in cognitive understanding and development. They answered the same kind of question very differently because they're more capable of abstract thought, right? I believe human development doesn't end when you turn 19 or 18 or whatever, right? Like we're cognitive continue developing. So I follow. I just to make things simple, let's call them in three stages: so stage 1, 2, and 3. In a stage 1, uh, this is when you view things very black and white. So this is like sex is good, sex is bad. Um, this sex act is a bad thing. Bad people do this. This sex act is a good thing. Good people do this. Like, it's very much in that kind of a frame. And it makes sense because when your maturity is at that frame, that's the way you see the world. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just at your level of understanding, at your capacity to understand that. That's kind of where you go. And that's where I was when it came to sex. Like, categorically, it must be all this, or categorically, it must be all that. And as you move up stages of development, you start to understand more nuance. Like, wait, maybe in this context, this is how this actually serves a higher purpose. Or in this context, it can be not healthy or not helpful, because there's a lot more nuance, a lot more variables. You're able to take into more complexity. And as you move up more stages of development, you kind of see things serving different purposes and different things. And that's what I try to help people understand. And that's what I experienced going through this, is going between one stage to another is very scary, because it feels like everything I knew was wrong. Wait, how can that be? Is that okay? Is that not okay? And in a way, it's not. I view it more or less as like it's about like breaking down the old to build something better. A lot of people in their 20s very much are about construction. 30s are very much about deconstruction, and in their 40s, when they hit midlife, preparing for the second half of life, kind of go through that more like assimilation. Okay, I built it up, I broke it down, and now I'm at this turning point now. What really is, and then kind of building off of that. It's that kind of an approach, I think, towards understanding sexuality and how it affects the dynamic within a relationship.
Well, it's a great parallel as you're saying that. I love the construction, deconstruction, and then you said assimilation. I like the word integration
Oh,
especially.
integration's a better word. Yeah. Right.
Well,
Because it's
I'm
tied to
assuming.
integrity. Like, what do I believe? What is in line with my values? Right? That's integrity based kind of an approach.
Well, yeah, and also is I'm coming to learn. I'm turning 39 in a week, at least from when we're recording
Happy
this.
birthday next
And
week.
thank you,
Yeah.
appreciate it. Um, 40 seems to be like, oh, I'm now finally starting to understand who I am,
Right.
which aligns with that. And I think about, I'm just putting this out there, and so like how I'm visualizing this, the way you're saying it, which is really beautiful. I'm visualizing the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I talk about it in this way of like your first half of life is about more. You're surviving, like more shelter, more food, more belonging, more blah 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 blah, and then to thrive as they moved into self-actualization, it's actually about removal. So the first part is like removing the things that don't belong, and as we're talking about integrating, and all that's left is all that you are, right? And then, but that's scary to then go challenge, as you're saying. It's like, oh well, all of it, because like what's right versus what's wrong, and you've been conditioned, as you're saying. It's hard because you're developing this like ability to sit in the gray area, not black and white. I was like, well, what does that mean? Like, like, am I wrong just being like a couple steps this way versus a couple steps that way? That's how scary that can be. I don't know if you felt the same way, but that was I really appreciated the way you're saying the three stages there in how you can visualize like your breakdown. We're using the analog of sex right now, but it's a great parallel for all things in life. I thought that was really fascinating the way you demonstrated that. Is that where you're typically finding the people you've been working with? They're coming out of that, what do you say, constructionist
Yes.
perspective, and that's what they're starting to unwind.
Yes and no. There's nothing wrong with what stage you're in. It's just
Mm-hmm.
every stage has a limitation. It's kind of like a hermit crab. You kind of start to really get cramped with that level of development, and you can no longer live in that confinement anymore. So something has to give. And that's usually what gives birth to entering the next stage. So every stage comes with um, a blessing and a curse. Like there's a good, and then there's an upside and a downside to each stage as you continue growing and progress.
What we covered, it seems like we hit mostly that stage one going into stage two. What about that stage two into stage three? What's more typical there?
So I mostly work with stage two couples. So
Okay,
stage
yeah,
one, I do a little bit. Stage one, let's talk about stage one briefly, and then we'll go into stage two. Stage one might look
yeah.
like good boy, good girl syndrome, as people call it. What it means is like good people don't have sex, or good people don't desire sex. Like,
Hmm.
I want to be a good moral person, and sex is everything against my understanding. So I can either be, like, for example, a spiritual person or a sexual person, but I can't be both. Like, they have a really hard time mixing those two. Um, so stage one breaks down when, like, for me, it's like, wait, here's a really good person where sex is actually like blessing and benefiting his life. Like, maybe they're not opposed anymore, but that goes against everything that I've used to think. So I have to like kind of throw that away and build something new. That's like a stage one to stage two type of understanding. Stage two is where most of my couples operate. And stage two is the development phase where, uh, okay, stage one is characterized by a lot of everything revolves around me. It's a very self-centered approach. Not it doesn't look selfish per se, but if if it's like sex is bad, but you want sex, you must be a bad person. Like, and it harms me. That's what the stage one self-centeredness is. Stage two is opposite. It's other centered in that you like sex, sex is important to you. I'm not in the mood, but I want to make you happy. Therefore, I want to be sexual with you. I'm going to give you sex to make you happy. And a lot of people marry psychologically at this stage two level because it's healthy. It's like, you know, finally someone gets me. Someone gets how cool I am, right? And I really like this other person. I'm really into them. And I'm going to do everything I can to make them happy. And as that relationship progresses in stage two, the version of it that often appears is I'm therefore responsible for how you feel. Like if I made you upset, it was me. Or if especially when it comes to sex, like I see this a lot with husbands that are higher desire than wives. It's like I really want a more adventurous sex life. I want to try new things in bed, but if I bring it up, it's going to hurt her feelings. She's probably gonna like freak out. She's gonna withdraw, and then it's gonna end up in no sex. So that dilemma is, do I like the sex isn't that bad? It's just not great. So do I hold on to mediocre, like getting by, because if I really push for something better, I risk no sex, and I'd rather have some sex than no sex. So they kind of play along to stay along, but he's not really happy. And then she's not really happy either because it may not be spoken, but she can sense he's not really happy. Nothing's quite there. That's like one version of it. Another version of it is like uh, he might be more like, hey, I need you to up your game sexually. I need you to embrace your sexuality more. I need you to like, how come this so and so and this wife they seem to really like sex. I just heard that he came home from work and she took him by the hand and took him upstairs right away and like pressed him against the wall. Like, how come you don't do that to me? Like, how I somehow you probably with your conservative upbringing feel like sex is bad. Like, we need to get you fixed, right? And in that framing, the relationship is really about like I am sexually superior, or I must be the more evolved one, and you need to catch up to my level. But and so that's a very stage two type of a set because everything is very much reference with the other person. so that even if she were to, step up her game and try harder, if they're going to stay in that stage two framing, well, he'll outpace her work, so he'll always be a few steps ahead of her, and she'll throw up her hands like, "Why try? Even if I tried really hard, I'll never be good enough for you. Why bother?" So those are the type of couples I often run into in my work. It's kind of in that stuck in the stage two frame.
Wow. As you're talking about that, well, it's what it sounded like is that the how you were saying it with like some sex is better than no sex. That they have something.
Uh-huh.
The fear is they have something to lose now. When you're younger, you got nothing to lose. Like I don't not in that committed, stable relationship. So we get to good. In a weird way, I'm thinking about the book. Have you ever heard of Good to
Yeah,
Great?
yeah, that's a great book. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Uh,
like more or
Colin.
less, good is
Uh-huh.
the end.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jim
yeah.
Collins, right?
Good is the enemy of
Good
great.
is
That's
good.
his opening line in the book. Yep. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about that. Oh, there's this. The way you're describing it becomes this. I don't want to call it purgatory because there's still some sex, but it's just not
You don't
the
feel
only word that
free
comes.
in it. You don't feel like a sense of freedom in it. You don't feel like you can really be yourself with your spouse and just really, unleash yourself or invite them to do the same. It's like I'm intimate with you, but not fully intimate. There's only parts of me, emotionally and psychologically speaking, that I'm going to show you. And it might be physical too. Like I'm only going to address partially, or I don't want you to see all of me. I'm only going to show you the parts of me I want you to see, and not the full me, because it's risky. Because there might be a part that if I were to show you, you would reject. And because that stage two, our egos are wrapped up so much in how the perception of the other person we're married to, because they matter to us. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's just the stage you're in. They matter so much to you. Yeah, you're going to behave in a way that I can tell you an example from my own marriage, a very classic stage two thing. My wife and I disagreed about something medical with one of our sons. When I was a teenager, I had horrible acne, and then my mom got me on Accutane, cleared me up, changed my life, boosted my confidence. It's a great, it was a very positive thing in my life. And unfortunately, my son inherited the same condition as me. So in his teenage years, he started to break out a lot. My wife was blessed with very fair skin in her teenage years, didn't have a lot of problems, right? So she didn't go through what I went through. And seeing her son go through this, and she's like, "I've heard horrible things about this medicine. Like, it really messes people up." Says we shouldn't do this. So she did all these like holistic, or so there's nothing wrong with a holistic approach, but I guess alternative medicines, like seeing a chiropractor to fix his spine to help his skin condition, for example. I disagreed with that approach. I guess I have a very Western medical view. My wife has a very Eastern medical view. And um, there's nothing wrong with differences in marriage. Differences are good. Like if it weren't differences, there's no room for us to like work together to make something better. But when it really came down to it, I let my wife's opinion prevail because I didn't want to ruffle her feathers so that I would get more sex. And my son suffered as a consequence. So I didn't want to get involved. I didn't want to like stand up for what I felt was better, or at least offer my voice as strongly. I kind of let her, because I knew if I pressed the issue, she would, you know, be offended. I've been married long enough. I know how she like responds when she doesn't like my opinion, right? And it usually equals less sex or no sex, and I didn't want that to happen. So, right, I'm not proud of it, and I think that might be a more extreme example in our marriage, but that's where a lot of people get stuck. Like, this matters so much to me. This matters to the other person, that you kind of start. You're not living in full integrity. That's back to that word, right? Like because you don't want to risk something that matters to you also that you give up.
Wow. It's like they're suffocating a part of themselves in order to preserve this one thing where there's like a semblance of connection.
Uh-huh. And that's where the phrase happy wife, happy life, heard that before. That's a very much a stage two motto. That is it. Like, if you make her happy, then you will be happy too. But we all laugh when we hear that because we know it's not completely true. Yes, you
I'm
should
laughing.
sacrifice and make your spouse, like, serve them, invest in their life, support them, love them. But when it comes to you're doing it because part of your sense of self is wrapped up in the other person. Um, I teach this at my marriage retreats. I have a couple stand up and I have them hug each other, but they're standing like 2 feet apart from each other. So they're like, okay. So they like lean into each other. Like they're like using each other's body weight to support them. It's like a A-frame. And everyone laughs because of how humorous it is. But that's how a lot of couples do marriage is it's off balance, and it's all about I prop you up and you prop me up, and it's not that stable because you're trying to keep something alive that is highly dependent on the other person to reciprocate in a certain way. I have another couple I've worked with where they're starting to make some big progress in their sexual relationship. Their struggle for years has been um, he's more on the passive side. He like really wants to be nice. He really is very considerate. He's a very, very considerate husband. She is a fiery personality, kind of more of the boss. And when it comes to sex, she's having difficulty finding pleasure, physical pleasure in it. He has no problem. But she does all the initiating, and now she's really resentful. Like, how come I initiate, and for you it's so easy, and for me it's so hard? But he doesn't initiate because he's afraid that if he initiates and she's not in the mood, she's going to get angry at him, and he doesn't like being with an angry wife. So he's very considerate, very good at reading her moods, um, to the point that she's really bored, right? Like there's no fire from him. And he's starting to understand, like, wait, me wrapping up my whole life in what like my wife wants. I've been taught my whole life that's how you be a good husband. But I'm starting to realize the way now the concept is true. You want to invest in another person, but you can't make love to your wife if you're dependent on her mood and her response. It's not really love because you can't love someone in that way. So his challenge has been to be a little more. My word is aggressive, but I don't mean like a bully or like a jerk, but kind of take a little more charge. Like you got to step up and step into this a little more. You got to own it. Like own it like you want it. Like who cares if she doesn't? Like own it like you want it. Like you're not going to be mean. You're not going to cross boundaries or anything. And they've experimented with a little bit of that and to great results. And then they kind of had a season of stress and then things kind of slid backwards, which happens unfortunately. Like we progress and we also regress. And his word was, I need you to reassure me that I'm doing what you want me to do by being more aggressive. And I'm like pulling my hair out. Ah, wait, no. You missed the point. Like, wait, it's the seeking of assurance. Like, that's the part that's keeping them trapped in this stage two um, setup. And this is where couples become emotionally enmeshed. They're really emotionally tied into each other. Like the story with me and my wife, my son, with deciding how to treat his acne. I was very emotionally enmeshed with my wife to the point where we're kind of like a blob. I don't know where I am and where I end and she begins, emotionally speaking, because I'm trying to manage her feelings and emotions because they're so tied to my feelings and emotions that I want her to be okay so that I'll be okay.
That was very insightful. The thing that was coming to mind, this enmeshment here, is the difference between a codependent and an interdependent
Yeah.
relationship. And
Uh-huh.
I think preached that it's like independent. I'm independent, whatever the hell that
Uh-huh.
means. Which I hear that and you're like, you're gonna be lonely on an island.
It's
Like,
hard
cool,
to
you
have a
climb the mountain.
relationship with someone that's like that. Yeah. You can't be in relationship with others or others with you if you're like that, if you're on an island.
Yeah, exactly. But and that's what's interesting. This difference between codependence and interdependence. Interdependence by far, like it's the strongest thing you can have, but it requires two functionally independent people who choose to integrate like their lives together and work together. But what you're speaking about is that difficulty of like, where do I end and you begin? Where do I, like, not losing yourself and your own individual identity in that relationship. And sex is a great symbol of that. And that it's also like, I'm trusting you with my body and I'm trusting you with my desires, and it's knowing how to that have that conversation. I was thinking about that the whole time, and I'm coming back to the Maslow's thing, being able to walk away. I'm visualizing like the belonging thing. Oh, I belong enough, but that's not the furthest part of the face. Like, who am I as an individual? That's beyond that. So you have to let go of the group identity, whatever it means to be, the good husband, by, in this case, we're thinking like religious standards within the construct of a marriage, within the construct of a sex life within a marriage. Well, who am I in that? Am I just the vessel for making babies, or and sometimes feeling good in the process of that, or am I allowed to feel good because I'm allowed to feel good because I'm a human
Yeah.
being? We're talking about, use the word aggressive, maybe the other word that might appeal to some people's sensitivities, of maybe assertive, like those kind of things. It's like, yeah, just because you assert yourself doesn't make you a terrible human being. Like, if you don't speak up for yourself and you don't know how to advocate for yourself, how do you ever get what you want? You're just gonna get steamrolled by people left and right in this world. And correct me if you've witnessed differently, but like, I know when I'm less assertive with my wife as like a man,
Hmm.
I'm less desired by
Yeah.
her. And I don't want to feel that there is, I will leave it mostly at some assumptions there for everybody, but like, there is nothing more emasculating than, what do I want to say the word is, like, pity from my
Yeah.
wife. Like, that is not,
Uh-huh.
pity sex is not
It's the
is not
worst.
desirable.
Yeah. It's the worst.
Like, it's like a tap on the
Uh-huh.
head, like, good boy.
Right.
Like, like
Uh-huh.
that, mom patting me on the head. Like, I don't
It's
want to. I'm not
condescending
married.
for sure. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and how silly it was. Silly is not, maybe not the right word. It's the only one I really have available to me right now. It seems silly when we zoom out here. It's like, well, yeah, but you're having sex with your spouse. Shouldn't this not be the most adventurous, beautiful, explorative relationship you ever have in your life? And yet there seems to be this block that you're talking about here. Like, it's, I don't know, I'm lost is not the right word, but like, I'm so fascinated by this juncture, that it's so common that you're seeing this. Hmm. Hmm. What seems to be, like, what's the turning point for everybody? What do you find like is the final turning point? They're like, if there is a kind of a broad stroke turning point, we're like, okay, they've gotten over the hump. What does it seem to be?
What
Yeah.
what drives them to push to development to their next stage?
Yeah.
I think when things get bad enough, they don't want to keep living that way, and they it's usually out of strength, right? They gather enough resources, think, okay, something's got to change, and they make that courageous step, even if it's a baby step in the right direction, to for something a little bit better, more right, something a little more in line with their integrity. That's when they start to move up in their development. So I view conflict, especially sexual conflict in marriages, as a gift, not a curse. Like nothing's gone wrong if you and your spouse have conflict, because the conflict is like stepping stones. It's revealing where you need to go next in your development as a relationship. And I can't think of anything that's designed to make people grow up more and aids to our cognitive and spiritual and emotional and development than trying to build a long-term passionate sexual relationship with your spouse. That's it. Marriage is designed to grow you up. So when you run into the limitations of your current state of your relationship in your marriage, especially the sexual relationship, it's an invitation for you to grow up. So I reframe everything in that way, and I think couples are like, oh, so nothing's really gone wrong. Like I'm not broken. Like there's like no, there's no pathology here. You're not. Nothing is wrong with you, or there's no disease or something like. It's just this is the stage you're at, and this is your invitation to break into your next stage. So keep following that. Like conflicts often are the stepping stones that reveal the way. Obstacles the way, as some people say, right? Is the way for us to learn the lessons we need to learn to get to our next level.
I love what you're saying there that it's not about pathologizing this because I think everybody's looking for the next
Because
label.
it'd be so convenient if that was it. Oh, it's just that like in my circles, it's because I come from a conservative background. Like that explains why. And if that were completely true, by the way, sidebar, I believe any sincere seeker of truth, if they dig into their theology, especially Christian theology, you'll find it's extremely sex positive, very much in line with like passion and pleasure and everything else. Like I believe it's there, but we find what we look for. Yes. Okay. Sidebar end, but uh, I people pathologize that often, like, oh, it's from a conservative background, or it's because this is just the way I was raised, or this is just the way I am. Or they'll pick up on new labels like, I'm a responsive desire person, or I'm a spontaneous desire person, or we like to adopt labels like, no, I'm anxious and you're avoidant, and things like that. And by applying labels, or I'm an addict, you have a porn addiction, or whatever. Like, when, I think words matter in those senses because as if we externalize our problem to some pathology, it it feels good because it means we don't have to take responsibility for ourselves, right? Oh, it's just the way I am. I can't change it. And it gives you an out. It feels so good in the moment. Um, but it does put a cap and limit on your growth. And I don't think that's, you'll continue to run into concerns and problems in your marriage.
That is really powerful. And I think we're in this. Ironically, I walk between both lines of like the Western and the holistic. So when you're talking about that, like I come from, I tend to lean more to a holistic background, um, though I appreciate Western medicine because a lot of great things have happened from that too. Um, in the Western construct, especially around therapy, and this is not to knock therapy, but that pathologizing the label,
Hmm?
it's like, oh, let me put you into a box. And if I'm going to get really conspiratorial, it's like, if I put you into that box, I can build a medicine that I can prescribe medication to and keep you on that for the rest of your life and like shove you in that box.
Yep.
As opposed to like, this is an element for me to understand about myself. Oh, let me understand my
Hmm.
tendencies. Oh, and what you said really powerfully there is that yes, it feels good in the moment, but I think the more people get there, and I see it especially like I work with a lot of people after they've done the whole therapy route, and they're like, I just kept saying the same thing over and over to my therapist, and just I'm like, and it was great. It got you to that point. It like helped you understand things. But then you find, and perhaps you see the same, but I'm not really fulfilled. That freedom word was really powerful before. And I think freedom and fulfillment go hand in hand. I think they're like kissing cousins with that, like on a deep, very spiritual level, because to have true fulfillment or to have true freedom, you must take responsibility. And I think what you were saying there, at least what it kind of evoked within me, is that yeah, you're taking responsibility for that, and that means that there will always be work within the relationship, not only on yourself but within the construct of that marriage. It's not just this fixed moment in time. I have this thing. I have the plan. It's no. You're gonna have to learn how to apply these tools. Now you're gonna have to continue this self discovery, continue the discovery of your partner. And as I'm saying this out loud, isn't that the adventure of sex?
Yes.
Like you're learning more and more, and you're going deeper and
Uh-huh.
deeper. I guess pun intended on that one, but like that is that's the excitement. Like, ooh, it's new, and it's almost like I'm having sex with a new person, though it's not actually a new person from like a that you're
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we can
It's
go
the same
physical there.
person, but the person is a growing, evolving, different person, so it's different. Yeah.
And is that not
Oh, it
sexy
totally
to be
is.
like,
Yeah.
ooh, I discovered like and I think what you did a great job of exemplifying earlier is that how it parlays out into the other elements of life. Sex is maybe like an analog for the insecurities or the things that we're feeling poorly about ourselves, in the same way that maybe a bank account is a reflection of our internal self-worth issues, or our calendar is a reflection of our lack of self-worth. Any one of those things, or our home being cluttered, is a reflection of the things. It was really fascinating what you're talking about there, is that it's yeah, it really is about taking this responsibility and like dropping the labels, where it's just and it seems like we're just seeking new labels nowadays
Uh-huh.
to run away from our problems. Damn it, is
Uh-huh.
like, or just I don't know, be married. I don't know.
Yeah.
It
Uh-huh.
just seems so obvious. I'm laughing and obviously in jest. I mean, I've had my own stuff,
Right.
but like, I just love the way you were breaking that down, because it seems so obvious. In you delivering this type of work, as you've stepped in as this you said 9 years, if I remember
Yes.
correctly. You've been doing this 9 years. What has been the most challenging element as the coach, as the practitioner? Like, what has that been the most difficult for you?
Like on the business side of things, or more like on the personal development side of
Any
things?
I guess both sides. I mean, the people that tend to listen to this are both business owner and, well, they're humans that are
Mhm.
also interested in personal development. I think you can't really grow as a business owner if you don't grow as
Right.
a human being. I don't see them. I see them as
Yeah.
analogs of each other.
The challenge I'm running into personally today is different than the ones I had a few years ago. The
Hmm.
challenges I have today is I uh, oh, okay. I had like 10 ideas hit my head at the same time. Um, I do a lot. First of all, I have the Get Your Marriage On podcast, and I put a lot of energy and effort into making that quality education development, how to have a sexy marriage with your spouse. And it's not just about techniques and different positions, although that's fun too. We do a lot of that, but um, going more in the deeper stuff, kind of like what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
I also have a coaching program. So this is where couples can work. It's like a membership type of a deal. We meet, I have 8 time slots a month, and it's kind of in a group setting. We do men only sometimes, women only sometimes, and then everyone other times. I bring in guest speakers, and I work with couples in that environment. On top of that, I have a more in-depth men's only and more in-depth women's only program where we meet for 14 weeks and we go really deep into, and I've created a course, and we follow the first 6 modules of the 10 module course in those 14 weeks. I put on so I do private coaching for your clients on top of that. We do marriage retreats, and these are so fun. Our next retreat's coming up in April. It's sold out. Um, we have 20 couples coming from all over the country, and we're going to spend 4 days together doing a deep dive into intimacy in their relationship. And in the fall, I'm putting on a cruise. which is our first ever Get Your Marriage On cruise. It's going to be really fun. We're bringing a boudoir photographer with us on board, and couples can schedule an appointment with her. It's optional, but I think most couples will do it because there's a lot of value in that kind of thing. And anyway, for the days we're at sea, I get to teach the couples these principles on how to have a sexier and more exciting marriage. Um, and then I have mobile apps we've created. One's called Intimately Us. The other's called Just Between Us. They work together. Intimately Us is bedroom games. So it's date night. You and your spouse want to have some sexy fun. You can download this app, and there's tons of games to help you spice things up in the bedroom. And you can, fit it to your comfort levels or whatever. And there's a lot of resources in there to help you have a vibrant, growing sexual relationship. And then the companion app, Just Between Us, is for when you're apart. It is a double encrypted, completely secure app where you're absolutely guaranteed that whatever you send will only be seen by your spouse because you sync and it's password protected and you can't message anyone else. Only one other person in that app. And so that's a very popular app for sending pictures, videos, messages, that kind of stuff. So my challenge is I've got a lot going on that I'm really excited about, and there's each thing is good, and they each benefit and help and grow each other. I also have a mailing list. I put out about 2 emails a week on good educational content about sexual relationships and marriage. And a year ago, I acquired another company in an adjacent space called Date Your Spouse, and it's all about date ideas to keep dating after you're married, and just building that brand. And so that's my challenge today. Is I am so passionate about this work. There's so much good I see. Um, it's so rewarding for me to work with couples and see their breakthroughs, and it fuels that, and I want more of that. So trying to organize my work and prioritize things. What can I do to have a bigger impact on people for good? That's where my big challenges come from today.
Thanks for sharing that. It's difficult, especially like once you get a lot of fire behind something as a business owner, as an entrepreneur,
Uh,
whatever term somebody wants to use. How do you organize all that stuff? Like it's a lot. It's a lot because you probably see ideas everywhere, and especially when you're good at what you do, people want you. So like navigating, especially if you've got a big family, so
yep.
like, keeping
Uh-huh.
all those things functioning and not just functioning, like thriving is a pretty it's a no small feat. Like not every I think most people don't know what it's like to carry the weight of that stuff until you're actually in this hot seat. And you're like, oh, this is a lot. This is not
It's a
easy. Like
lot.
it
Yeah,
takes
it
a lot
is.
of work on my spirit.
But I wasn't quite sure if that's kind of the answer you're looking for when you asked me what are the challenges that I have.
Well, I'm curious, like the things I can speak from my own personal experience, the stuff that people have told me over the years, and it continues to get deeper and darker, and the things that people are just like, this is part of my stuff that I did not anticipate.
Mm,
At first, that was really difficult for me, but now I find, I don't want to say deep pleasure because obviously people are going through their pain, but like the pleasure is in like, wow, there's this trust.
yes.
That was probably one of the deeper things because what I realized for me and the difficulty was I I realized my clients' success was being limited by my willingness and or ability to go deeper within myself
Mm,
and to face my stuff
yes.
at another deeper level because I was not in an existential, dare I say, spiritual sense, able to hold the space in which they felt safe enough to say, here's the real stuff that's going on with me. And those were all the tools that were like, oh, so that's the stuff? Cool. So now what do we want to do with it? Like that was the stuff for me. I'm curious if there's any, you're dealing with people in their most intimate of things. And I know how most men are that I've been around and like they don't want to talk about feelings worth jack shit
Uh,
now, especially throw in sex.
yeah. It
Oh my
is
God.
really uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, what's maybe something along those lines would be I'd be curious like Where have you found maybe, and even if it's just like, hey, this is something where I've grown through that I
Mhm.
didn't anticipate. Yeah, I'd be curious.
Last October, I attended a practicum, and practicum is a term a lot of therapists throw around. It's when they go and meet, and it's about skill development, not so much working on theoretical understanding, but how do I just improve my skills as a practitioner? And it was really cool to be in a room with like these are like the black belts of like these are really really good couples sex therapists, and I'm in a room with them, and our the person facilitating is like the grandmaster, like teaching us all like the ways. It was really cool. We'd have like a 20-minute video clip, and we'd watch it, and then like the entire rest of the day was based on this 20-minute video clip, and everything you learn from like just watching 20 minutes of someone, practicing therapy, and all the things you can take apart and learn from it. My biggest takeaway from all of it is um, I am asking clients about their intimate relationship. Intimacy really is about a willingness to be known and to know. It's like with my wife and I, intimacy for us is like, I really want her to know all of me, even the parts that might be invalidating for her or invalidating for me, which takes courage to do. And likewise, I want to know all of her, even the parts that might be a little invalidating sometimes. That's that willingness to push yourself. So that's what I'm asking clients to do. But being in my seat, I likewise need to practice intimacy with my clients. I need to be willing to push myself to really know them, not as a therapist, but as a fellow human being, like as Dan, as me, and also a willingness to let them know me. Because sometimes being in this seat, I'm afraid to tell them what I really think. Because what if they take it the wrong way? What if they cancel? What if I offend them? Right? Which I'm not going to be a jerk with people. I'm not going to tell them just to make them upset. But I am not practicing the very thing that I'm asking them to do when I withhold things too. So I was like a it's like Inception. It's like it's like a meta of exercise of like, oh, I in my own dealings with everyone want to practice being a more capable of intimacy, and not sexual intimacy with everyone. But what I mean, you know what I mean, being willing to be close with others and invite them to be close with me. I think some people say, "Oh, we tried therapy and it didn't work," and um, outcomes vary. There's so many variables, but the most predictable factor of success in any therapeutic, and it could be coaching, it doesn't matter. It's less to do with the theory, less to do with credentials, less to do with the modality, less to do with all that stuff. The number one factor, by far, huge margin, is the relationship between the client and the coach or the therapist. In other words, that matters so much more. So if when they say therapy didn't work and I start digging a little further, I it's like the client was like, "Well, I got the therapist figured out. I know what answers to give him or her to like get her off my back." And she didn't press me on that. Like I was able to like maneuver my way around that. And then you instantly lose respect with that coach or therapist because you got them figured out, right? You're able to figure out how to weasel your way out of certain things. And so I think a good coach won't accept that, can detect that, and is not going to let you off the hook. They're going to push you on things. They're going to really get in deep with you, really get in your head about things. Because if they're really going to help you, they're not going to accept blanket answers or distractions from that. That's one thing I've learned that's been really helpful for me in my own practice.
But I heard there was both like the asserting of yourself in the coaching practice, which sounded a lot like what you were talking about in your own story with your wife. Oh, parallels.
Yeah.
Like it's showing up both ways. And I love what you're saying there before is it sounds like just about the the willingness to be vulnerable. You use the word intimacy, and I agree. Like they're one and the same. How can you have intimacy without
Mhm.
vulnerability? They go hand in hand. You must have that. And intimacy to me is like, well, trust. How can you have implicit trust if you're not trustworthy? If you're not giving them the tools for them to nurture that trust, as you said before, the respect comes with that, the honesty that comes with that. So I really appreciate that answer. I echo for the same thing. I think every coach that I've really encountered that I find to be truly grounded,
Mhm.
that is probably the best word I can find right now for it, is they've overcome that I will also be seen kind of thing. As a coach or maybe therapist, like it's like, well, I'm the one asking the questions. And in an interesting way, it's I'm controlling you
Yep.
because I'm just
Which
asking
is stage
questions. I'm
2.
not
That's a very stage 2 approach. Yep.
stage two, exactly like you said before. So it's just that willingness, like I'm going to be in this together. As I think about as my beautiful wife walks in the door to come hang, I think there's something really powerful about what you're saying there. In that, as with all relationship, being vulnerable, creating connection, creating trust is so paramount to just any type of. I mean, you gave a list of all these other beautiful programs you have going on and apps and whatnot. And we've got ideas of people who could help too. Um, how can we have a meaningful relationship? There is no implicit trust, and I think that was really cool. So, and I've got to imagine your very story of sharing, like, well, this is where I came from, and there's no, you know, you talked about it before, like, you can have all the degrees on the wall and all the certifications and everything, but if they don't trust you, if there's not real relationship here, if there's no mutual respect, it's got a ceiling on this thing.
Yep.
And uh, I really admired what you were saying there because I'm saying the same thing, like same. It's not easy. It's not easy to be in that role and to also continually challenge yourself to create that dynamic because it is ultimately also in the service of the other people that you're holding space for. So I really admired that. Hmm. That was great.
So yeah, I
Yeah, no
talk
fun.
about sex, but I didn't, but this is what I talk about because it's on the other side of this is where really good sex can happen. If you want like
Hmm.
hot, passionate sex, uh, lots of orgasms, lots of like just that joy that radiates, where you walk out of the bedroom a different person than who you came in. It requires this level of building of who you are. It requires this ability to be solid. Stand on your own 2 feet. Back to that analogy of the couple I invite up to do the hug from 2 feet apart. I had them then do the hug again, but standing on their own 2 feet, close to each other, and then putting their arms around each other. It's a very different experience, but it requires more intimacy, right? You need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet, first of all, be solid within yourself, and close to another person. And that's when you can actually really hug and hold another person. So that's the metaphor. That's what I want to help people. I hope people listening to this walking away from that realize if you want it's that is the key I think to having a great sex life.
I love that. That's definitely going to be a clip. Let's pivot to some fun questions because I know I also want to make sure I'm respectful of your time. Three fun questions. We're going to start off with question number one. When you were younger, what sports or creative activities did you play or participate in? And 1A is what was your style of play? Like, how did you go about it?
Karate. I did lots of martial arts since I was 5 years old, all the way through my teenage and young adult years. Studied 3 different styles. Love martial arts. Style for me, I I loved all of it. I liked the competition. I liked the just getting like the perfection, the self control aspect, and I love it. And my kids are in karate now, and I love supporting them in that too. It's fantastic. So that comes to mind.
I love your response. So the reason behind this question, aside from it just being fun, I took a I studied kinesiology in school and for my degree, and one of the classes I took was on play. And I say it all the time, but I really kind of poo-pooed this at the time. But the more I've revisited it, it shows. And play is so important because it essentially exemplifies our problem-solving styles or the way we go about. while navigating life. And what I loved about that, you talked about it, the self-control, the discipline, the competition, in many ways, the collaboration of that. And why I find that interesting is look at what you're doing now. You're talking about competition and collaboration, the self-control, the self-discipline within the paradigm of creating both a successful business, but also these successful partnerships, these successful sex lives. A lot of a lot of I forget the vocabulary term, whatever it is for that. But um, so I like jumped off the page right over there. Once you said that, like, oh, love karate, love your martial arts and multiple disciplines, which I think that's also interesting from an empathetic standpoint when you can put yourself in different environments and other people's different styles and being more creative in that way. Which yeah, we just talked about that with sex. Like we're wanting to be adventurous, we want to be playful. That's where we got to go with it. So I hope you like that one. That was I loved your response.
Good.
Number two, stranded on a desert island. You get to bring one movie and one TV series. What movie and TV series are you bring in and why?
Man. Uh, uh, Lost. And it's another movie about a deserted TV show about a deserted island.
You're just bringing stuff for to be on a desert island.
Keep me company here.
What is that movie with what's his name? Tom Hanks. Or
Yeah,
is he as
yeah, with
Wilson?
Wilson, the volleyball, whatever. Uh-huh. I forget what that's called. But yeah. What's the
I
TV?
take it so
Just
you
escape me to the TV series where they vote people off the island. It's
Survivor.
yeah, yeah, Survivor. Yeah, that. I'll bring that TV show.
So you're gonna have great reference on how to
All the
survive while
irony.
you're
Yeah,
on this.
it'd be great.
Of quite a few people when they answer that question, they go with something like, "I need to know the survival skills here, so I should probably have something where I have a good reference for it." That's pretty good. The first person who's never answered with like one of the movies or the movie series being
Out being lost on a
comedy.
deserted island.
I've had plenty of Deserted Island, but always I usually get humor, like something about comedy and having like some levity being on a
Oh
stranded
yeah,
island. Like
absolutely. I guess that's where I go to.
that's good. Final question. What is your deathbed meal? Who are you sharing it with and why?
I haven't thought about that ever. For sure with my family. I'll share it with them. And I like to cook. I like my wife's cooking too. And it would be a home cooked meal. It won't be like a restaurant meal. And we'd probably cook together. Something with rice. I like rice. I grew up in Japan as a kid, so I like Asian foods. I like Japanese food.
Really?
I like stir fries. I like curries, like that kind of stuff. So it'd probably be something like that.
I'm here for that. Sushi?
Yeah, I can do sushi. Sushi'd be fine, but it's
You
not
can do
filling. But yeah,
depends if you go to all you can eat sushi
yeah,
with
that's
me.
right.
Like
It's not filling for me, I guess. Yeah. But if it's a deathbed, it probably we'll probably eat for pleasure, not for like filling me up.
fair point. Reason why I ask this question, I ask it all the time, and maybe you can steal it and use it with some of the couples, is people do all like those what's it called? You know, write your obituary and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
And that's nice and good. All about like accomplishments and whatever. But
Mhm.
the reality is I don't think anybody gives a shit about that at the end of their life. I think what they care about is who they love. And I have this thing, who's holding your hand on your deathbed?
Mhm.
And I think about death every day, mind you. And I think it's such a powerful question because if you say that's what you really want, you know exactly where to go spend your time right now, where most everybody else is not living in alignment with that. And they're surprised why they feel unfulfilled and blah, 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 all the other stuff. This is a fun way to do it. I believe world peace is going to be solved one family dinner at a time. So your response was so beautiful because there's something so healing and so powerful about sharing a meal. It's really our first church version of church. Like this is where we are learning how to have discourse. Gone are the days, by and large, the family dinner. It's which is a real travesty. Like, how are we learning how to interact with each other? How are we learning to have discourse, especially if there's differing opinions? Especially your family knows all your theoretically knows all your deep, dark, dirty secrets. Like, you're gonna have to learn how to communicate in a different way. I think there's something really powerful there. But the final piece to this is, I believe the world's all a mirror, and on our deathbed, the person holding your hand is just the reflection of the highest and the furthest pursuit of your ideal self. So I think there's something really beautiful about it being your family. Like, this is what I created in this life, and the fact that you cook with your wife, it's literally like we're talking about sex today, but like making babies kind of like cooking, right? Like we're gonna make a beautiful recipe, we're gonna put it all together, we're gonna bring my different
And
ingredients, your
sometimes it turns
ingredients.
out great.
So and sometimes we get a little wonky, like little wonky pancake. You
Just
know
kidding.
what? We love them all. So the overarching thing to that whole thing, and we keep talking about relationships and depth and all this other stuff, and like it's the other stuff around the sex and the intimacy that we've been talking about today that I think is just so powerful. Uh, Growing up, my dad worked a lot, but every 4 to 6 weeks, he would take me on a boys' night, and we'd go have a bite to eat. We'd go catch a movie, and we would go walk through Sports Authority. If you remember Sports Authority back however many years it was, talk about sports by, you know, sports gadget or whatever the hell it was. And that's how I always felt connected. I always felt loved. So this is kind of my bringing my life and love and connection to you, and sharing that with you. So loved your responses. Those were fantastic, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks, Caleb. This has
Yeah,
been
it's
a
good.
great discussion.
Yeah, I feel mutually the same way. If somebody has been listening and they're like, I want to
They want to have
bring a
more
little more.
naked Sundays?
See,
Huh?
there we go. Let's go. I'll come be a guest speaker, by the way. I'd love to be I'd love to come on the podcast or or it anyway. Um, Somebody's listening, they want to have more naked Sundays and more hot, steamy sex with their spouse. You mentioned a lot of those things, but what would be the best like singular place for them to go to like connect with
It'd
you?
be my website, getyourmarriageon.com.
Beautiful. If you're lazy like me, everybody, don't worry. That's going to be in the show notes because that's where I would go immediately. And I'm like, click link.
Yep.
Final question before we leave our audience today, my friend. Looking back on your life to right now, this is a tweak on my words of wisdom kind of question. What words of wisdom from the end of your life, looking at you right now, what words of wisdom will you give yourself going forward for the rest of your life?
Just keep the bigger perspective and have fun. Enjoy it.
No better way to end the episode on that right there. So beautiful. Thank you.
Great.
Everybody, go check out Dan. He's awesome. I've really enjoyed getting to know you, my friend. Looking forward to many more beautiful conversations. And everybody, go check out the show notes for the link, and you'll be happy you did. Go have some better sex in your marriage. Not that you don't. You have good sex. Have great sex. It's going to be awesome. And
Yes.
everybody, the glow was worth it. So that's all we got for today, guys. Thanks for sharing your time and your energy with us. And until next time, I remind you to love everybody.